How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to Tilted Glory Gaming. Today, while I was at work, Monster Hunter did a community update video. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through, give our thoughts about some of the stuff. We're not gonna watch the entire video. We're just gonna go through, jump around, and to the main points, and just give our thoughts on the different things and what we think could come of it, the good, the bad, um, and then at the end, give an overarching opinion on what's going on. So let's go. First, we're going to start off with the little mini trailer that they have here, just showing what they've been working on with the game and how it's progressed, how it looks now. So let's take a look at that. All right, the first thing I can say is it doesn't look super crisp. Some of it looks a little blurry.
はい、このように、OBT の時よりも
It looks a little blurry compared to what I would expect. Now, if that was just running at the at 1080p, I don't know. I think they said, or I think they go on to say, 1080p is what they're shooting for. Yeah, right there it is, 1080p, 60 FPS. So, with upscaling, I'm assuming. Interesting. I mean, it looked okay. It just had. I think they're using a lot of frame gen for it. Like I feel like they're using a lot of frame generation and not nothing native. All right. Then here we're talking about they put hit stop back in the game. I feel like that was the right decision. Hit stop not being in the game, from what I understand, made it feel really floaty. And it's kind of something that's been with Monster Hunter for a long time now. So I guess they had people complaining during World when it first launched that, about the hit stop and whatnot. But I think people have just come around on that and realized how nice it is in the game. So I really, really like the option to keep that in. I think it's a good move. Then friendly fire. Everyone has been on this big tear, worrying about they're completely taking out friendly fire, and you're not going to be able to, it's not going to be as realistic. You're not going to have to worry about other players while you're in there. So it's why you even play with other players at that point. You're not considering who's around you and what they're doing or anything like that. So they were thinking, it's just you're starting to take things out of the game that have been there and are thought to be kind of unique about the game, and people were worried about that. They still kind of went that way. As you'll see here in the clip coming up, that they didn't actually take friendly fire out of the game, at least for what they're showing. It looks like they took out the launching. So you can't launch a player anymore. So like an upswing for a hammer or an upswing for like a greatsword would launch one of your teammates up into the air, and that would allow them to do an aerial attack. But it would also take away complete control of their character. You just go in this little arc. Like you can't move. You get launched into an attack. You're not dodging during that. You're not healing. You're not nothing. The only thing you can do is either attack or don't attack. That's your option. That's it. You've been launched. Deal with it. Uh, I like that. I think that's a good thing to have in the game. It was always fun to do. Um, Now, obviously, a few people ruin it for everybody, trying to launch people um, when they're like carving and stuff. I know that used to be a thing. Um, they patched that out of World really early, and I don't think it's been a thing since. Um, but I don't have a problem with launching players, so long as it's not done in a malicious way. So if you're gonna launch them during the quest as kind of like a haha, like the quest is fine. You guys aren't on like your last card or anything. That's one thing. Especially with friends, it's a great time. I freaking my son when we're playing, he'll launch me. But he doesn't. He doesn't do it purposely. He will accidentally launch me, and then he'll laugh about it if I get hit. But I'll launch him, send him, careening toward a monster. But we're having a good time. Um, the issue came in when people were doing it to prevent or be like a menace to others, and other people were not enjoying it. But at that point, you just kind of like leave the lobby. I know it sucks, um, but you're not going to change those people. Those people are just going to troll, and they're going to find something, you know. Same as people who used to go into hunts. This was a thing that you used to deal with in Monster Hunter World. Uh, wasn't as much a thing during Iceborne, I don't think. But people would go into hunts, join hunts, and then sit in the tent, just AFK. I remember that being a thing. Like, what are you doing? Um, Not, the biggest thing in the world, whatever. Uh, but if you're going to join a hunt, just help with the hunt. Um, but the way they did it, I don't think really helps anybody, but it still keeps the strategy involved of knowing where you are, knowing where your, allies are attacking the monster. There are certain positions that are better for certain weapons than others. So make sure you're at those positions, and it goes quite well. If you get out of that position, then you can start to have issues. So we're going to take a look at that right here. It's going to show us the hit stop. It's going to go all the way through to true charge slash. It's going to be this one. And you can see it actually like freezes the frame for a split second and then goes through. Um, so that's good. They brought that back. Now let's go ahead and get to the hammer portion. And here's the hammer. And you're going to see that what I'm talking about doesn't launch anymore, just knocks you back. I would say that is more annoying, but hey, it works. They wanted to kind of keep it in the game. They didn't want people being launched, and I guess there is still the jewel that you could get in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak that would prevent that kind of stuff from happening. Um, but that's on you to put it in your set. It's called the Shockproof Jewel. It's listed right here. Nullify damage reactions. So, um, I don't know how I feel about it. I do like the fact that they didn't take it out completely. It's unfortunate that they took the launching out. I just think it's just a matter of people memeing on others, and they didn't want that to continue to happen. Because honestly, at the end of a quest, you have four people just standing around. They carve the monster. And if you just see people standing around at the end of a quest, I'm launching you. I will straight up just walk over to you and launch you. Because you can do it with Switch Axe, you can do it with Greatsword, and those are the two weapons that I play. If you're just standing around with the last 30 seconds on the timer at the end of a quest that you're just waiting to go back to camp, and you're not actively doing anything, I'm launching you. Like if you have your book out, So in Monster Hunter World, like it would show you, you have your book out, you're looking at your book. I'm not going to do it then. But if you're just AFKing at the end, oh, I'm just going to launch you. Just like in any shooting game. Like at the end of each level for Space Marine 2, when you're waiting to get, evac'd out, um, I'm shooting at the other players. It doesn't do anything, but, hey, I'm here, little goofing around, no harm to be had. You're not actually harming anybody. You're not inhibiting their experience at all. Have a little fun, have a little bit of sense of humor, guys. That's it. Okay, and right here they're going to show a little bit of Insect Glaive because they've added the bounce back in. This I'm a little bit in the air about. Haha, pun. The reason I'm in the air about it is the devs made a conscious decision to take it out of the game. Yes, I understand it's something you find enjoyable. Okay? I find Soren Wyvern enjoyable from Rise. That's not going to be in this game because it's not that type of game. They've balanced the game already. So long as putting this back in does not break anything and the monsters can deal with it, I'm fine with it. But what worries me is they made a moveset. They made a design choice on that moveset. And now they've changed it because people didn't like the moveset. I'm just in the air of whether that's good or bad at this point. Because again, they've balanced everything. They've done the movesets in a certain way for a reason. It's not just like they were like, oh, we're going to put this in here, but we're not going to test anything. And we're just going to see what happens. Like they do testing. They have to program monster behavior. And the Insect Glaive, I think, with the bouncing, muddies the waters a bit. And I think that might be why they took it out initially. Again, if they feel like it can go back in and they're fine with it, I trust them. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, air grievances with a game. I'm just saying we should maybe think about it and, use our judgment that, hey, there might be a reason why it's like this. Might be a reason they took this out of the game. Or there might be a reason why they added something. Whether that's right or wrong, that's another thing. But again, if they feel fine adding it back in, I trust them. So let's take a look. Okay, so he did 3, and here it's going to show like a offset attack. That's really cool. So I'm not going to lie, that right there has me wanting to play Insect Glaive. That looked cool as hell. I've had played Insect Glaive before in World and Iceborne. Not a ton of it, but if I had to guess, it was probably my 3rd most played weapon. If you take out heavy bowgun for just running Levisioth quests, because I played the hell out of the Levisioth quests. The one where it would give you decoration drops for every lava splatter that went on the ground. I used to just farm that thing left and right. But if you look here, it says, the vaulting dance to strengthen aerial action was added. Aerial attack power increases by 2 levels each time you vault. So they're not only adding it back into the game, but they're buffing it right away. They're like, okay, you want it? The more you use it, the more it's going to do damage. So maybe they just thought it wasn't enough damage that people wanted to do it. Maybe that's why they took it out. And again, if that's the reason, put it back in. Put it back in. Do this. It's going to be great. People are going to love it. I've seen all over YouTube and whatnot today already that people are so excited about the vault being back. That's great. I love that. So long as it's not going to break the game. What else you see here is adding an offset effect at the beginning of a descending slash. And this last one is very interesting. Orange extract effect now negates knockback while weapon is drawn. That's good. But the last line. Let's just pop me up a hair here. Red plus white plus orange extract effect now also mitigates wind pressure, tremors, and roars. That is so big. So you're telling me now I mitigate the 3 most annoying things in the game that monsters can do to me without actually hitting me. Kushala? Again, Xeno'jiva is not going to be in this game, but if you watched my Arch-Tempered Xeno'jiva quest, you know that we broke down and took tremor resistance because I was just getting tremor left and right. So that's gone, or at least mitigated. So, plus it's insect glaive, so you're hardly ever on the ground anyways. And roars, you get freaking Legianas, 2 Legianas in one map. If you watched, I think it was 2 episodes ago in the Monster Hunter World playlist, you'll see that they just it's freaking annoying. That's good. I like that. Let's move on and see what else is coming up here. Okay, they're also talking about Lance here. Just a moment. We're going to skip. There we go. Right to there. Okay, so charge counter now allows guarding while charging and can be chained into from any other move. Good. Okay. And I'll be honest, I've hated Lance. The entire time I've ever played Monster Hunter, I have hated Lance. And it looks good in this game. It really does. Along with Insect Glaive, I'm thinking I might take Lance. I haven't decided on my second weapon yet. You know, I'm not playing Greatsword and Switch Axe. That I'm not doing. I'm playing Switch Axe, which there's some stuff coming up about that I'm not super happy about, but we'll check it out. And then I'm going to play another weapon that's not Greatsword. I want to get away from just using Greatsword all the time. Greatsword was my crutch up until Iceborne. If I couldn't defeat something, I just took Greatsword and basically just did, draw, attack, and run. Draw, attack, and run. I want to get away from that. I don't want to do that stuff anymore. Greatsword will always have a spot in my heart from the first Monster Hunter game. But I want to get into some of the other weapons and go from there. So Lance is up there. Lance might be one that we try here. So next, Power Guard will now charge to higher levels more quickly when used to successfully defend against more powerful monster attacks. That's interesting. I don't know what that means because I don't play Lance. But I might eventually. And lastly, Perfect Guard and Power Guard can now be chained into a new move. Okay, so let's see. They have a little trailer here. We're going to watch it and give a little bit of feedback. So let's see what they have.
And there we have it. Lance getting straight to the point, as always.
Straight to the point. Yes. That was nice. Okay. I don't know. Lance just looks different this game. It looks better. It looks strong. Like it looks like a stronger weapon now. And I've always kind of considered Lance kind of like meh. I know they had the sweep attack on in Rise, and supposedly that was really good, which I'm not opposed to. I mean, you have a big freaking long rod of steel. You get that swing, and that's going to do some damage. Like that should be kept. I think. I think their Lance should have a sweep. Gun Lance has a sweep. Lance should have a sweep. But I do think, the majority of it's obviously going to be poking and shielding and little hops around and whatnot. So it looks interesting. We'll go forward and see what we like from there. We're going to have to test some stuff when we get into the game proper, but it's definitely on the list.
I've got a video for this one too, so let's take a look.
Okay, so here we go with Switch X. So the little bit of a problem that I have here, and again, let me just, I'm just going to minimize myself just a hair. Various adjustments made so that switching to sword mode after building axe mode gauge feels more satisfying. Okay. What I hope from that is that switch attacks, just like they had in Rise. So they had specific attacks that you would do switching from sword mode into axe mode or axe mode into sword mode in Rise and Sunbreak. And they had skills that would make those go faster. Like you could transform faster and those attacks would come out faster. I want that back in the game. I want that in Wilds. I'm hoping they're including that in decorations. I'm hoping that this has something to do with that, but we'll have to see. Again, I haven't played the game yet. I didn't play the beta, so I don't know. But that's my hope. Next, parameter improvements made to various moves, including full release slash. Knockback is now negated when using full release slash. That is what I have a problem with. Again, I've said this before in my Monster Hunter World Iceborne playthrough. I like the dance with the monster. Okay? I like bobbing and weaving and getting in and getting out and keeping up the attack, but having to know where to be. And I'm not perfect at it. I wouldn't even call myself great at it. But I enjoy it. It's really fulfilling to be able to do that. You get a hunt that actually goes really well doing that. And it just feels like a dance. It just feels so good. As soon as you give hyper armor, it's more like Unga Bunga. Unga Bunga, I'm standing here, I'm hitting you. That's greatsword. That's hammer. Yes, to a point, it could be other weapons as well. Like, I go for the glory a lot. Tilted Glory is the name. We go for glory. We do. But I expect to be punished for it. I expect to cart and be hit back and knocked out of my combo if I screw up. There needs to be consequence. If there's no consequence, then there's no reward. Okay? It's just, I'm here, I'm doing this. There's no real reward to that. And if you... Invincible Gambit, I think, was the setting ground for this. I hate Invincible Gambit. That was in Rise Sunbreak. I will never use Invincible Gambit in that game. If you're watching that playthrough, we're using Soaring Wyvern all day. I don't care if it's not as good, if it's not considered as good. I love it. You can chain that thing And it's just like the song and dance, like I said. In my opinion, Switch Axe should be used in a different way than most other weapons. You use the move set to move. You don't hop. Hopping is your last resort for Switch Axe. You use your move set to move around the monster. You use the overhead backswing to get distance away or to reposition. You use the morphing slash from sword into axe that moves you back to get distance or, attempt to hit a monster that's coming towards you and knock them back. Soren Wyvern was the same thing. You don't just use it as an attack. I use that thing all the time to dodge. A monster's coming towards you. You're in sword mode. You're hopping, or you get a turn and then roll. Very slow. Soaring Wyvern up into the air just before they get there, and then direct it straight back and hit them in the back as they go by. Great feeling. Great. If you play like that, feels amazing. So let's watch this, see what it looks like. I do like the moves. I've already seen this. I do like the moves. The knockback. I just get rid of the hyper armor. Don't give me hyper armor. That's what we want right there. Knockback. Nope. Nope. I'm not changing it. Again, it's
Yeah,
again, maybe you could say I'm being hypocritical here, okay? It's not, it doesn't, what's the word? It's not lost on me that I'm being hypocritical saying that I think the insect glaive should have stayed the way that they designed it first, if that's how they designed it. And now I'm saying, hey, I don't like this moveset for the Switch Axe. I get that. The difference is taking out hyper armor doesn't help us. It doesn't help us. Okay? If you take out hyper armor, it does not help me as a Switch Axe main to defeat the monster faster. It hurts me. Okay? It actively hurts me to take that out. So it's not going to affect the game in a balancing sense that I'm going to be overpowered. That the monsters aren't going to be able to deal with me. It's going to affect if I can deal with the monsters, but that's my problem. Okay? My problem is to figure out how to deal with the monsters. Okay? So that's where I see it a little differently. Again, whatever they put in the game, I'm going to love it. I'm sure. I have the utmost faith in this team, in all of Monster Hunter, and mostly Capcom in general, of just putting a great game out. So we'll have to touch back on this later on and see what it actually feels like in the game. But bookmark it, because we're going to be checking it out. Let's be moving on here. Okay, so then we have Sword and Shield has had some stuff done to it. Rising Slash can now be used while guarding. Okay, that's cool. I think Sword and Shield should be one of those weapons, along with the Lance, should be a weapon that you can do a lot of attacks while guarding. It just seems right. Like you should be able to. Especially Sword and Shield being like, I don't know. I always think of Sword and Shield being like the little brother. Like, oh, you're adorable. Sword and Shield players are going to kick my ass, speed running something. And they're going to be like, little brother, my ass. But you know what I mean. I've always just thought of it as like a toothpick. So, picking picking the teeth of the monsters there. All right, so next is parameters improvements to various attacks, especially normal attacks and perfect rush. That's cool. I like the addition of perfect rush. I think they added that in Iceborne. That was a good good extra move in there. Good combo. I feel like it really added a lot to the Sword and Shield's arsenal. Next, improved the responsiveness of the mobile chop and slide slash combo, as well as guard slash and perfect rush. Okay, so it's I'm gonna guess it's gonna be a little bit quicker coming out, and just be able to be possibly canceled into or canceled out of. Maybe that's what that means. It's very ambiguous of what improved the responsiveness of. Like that's kind of hard to tell without feeling it, you know? Well, it's with a lot of the weapons. If you don't feel it, sometimes you don't know the timing quite right. But once you feel it, then you kind of get it down and see what it's like. Lastly, improved evasion effectiveness of backstep and sliding swipe. That's cool. Again, using your actual move set to move around. I like that. I don't know if that means it's going to give it iframes. I can't remember if they show that or not. I wouldn't imagine it gives you iframes at all. But again, one of those things we're going to have to test. We're going to have to see once we're in game. They don't talk about iframes at all. But let's take a look at this one.
So let's run it and see how it looks.
Yes, let's, Patrick. Let's. Okay, you get pretty good distance there. And there. There it is. There it is. That's the one that I'm talking about.
Oh my goodness. To my fellow.
To me, it's not very hefty hits, which is why I don't play Sword and Shield. And I'm not super versed with Sword and Shield's moveset to know all the intricacies and whatnot from the different games. So I could be missing stuff there. But it looked good, just not as beefy as I'd like. It felt, again, like you're hitting the monster with a stick, I think, which is why I don't play it. But I'm sure a lot of people think it's the best, and they're not wrong for them. By all means, play whatever weapon makes you happy. And again, they may be stronger than Switch X. I don't know. I hope they are. I hope everyone's strong. Hope everyone has overpowered builds. We'll get to the build part here in a minute. I have some thoughts on that as well. Next, we've got bow. I really want to like bow. I always have wanted to like bow. I've just never been able to get into it. It's not, not my type of thing. The whole stamina management thing. If you watch my playthroughs yet again, you know that I quite often run myself out of stamina. I'm like, shit, Mr. Fluffers, give me health. I'm going to be hit. Just sitting there huffing and puffing. So yeah, bow and me just, I'm very bad at it. All right, so they're rebalancing the bow to increase attack power and responsiveness of moves such as normal attacks and arc shots. If you read that and you know that bow was overpowered in the beta, you'll be like, holy shit, why the hell are they giving it more power? It's already, at the top of the ranking. It's the next part. While toning down the power of tracer shots. And during the video, you will see this changes everything about how the bow functioned If you go back and look at videos of people playing bow, and it's just completely different. So I don't have a problem with them increasing the power of, normal shots and arc shots. Those should be your bread and butter anyways, so they thought it needed done, so it's done. When targeting a monster with Focus Strike, multiple wounds are now locked onto one by one with a brief delay in between rather than all at once. It's slow. It's real slow. Again, in just a minute you'll be seeing it, but damn. They did them dirty. General wide... Oh, this is other weapons. Other weapons, general wide-ranging adjustments to skills and elemental values. Elemental values to balance for full game content, including endgame. We'll just read the last one here. Overall adjustments to hit detection and low damage output compared to past Monster Hunter titles. Don't exactly know what they mean by that. But again, I have faith in them. I trust them. Going back, just before we get past this screen here and go and look at Bo. Please, Capcom, Monster Hunter, whoever I can pray to right now, elemental values need to have an actual impact in the game. Because there's not much for most weapons. Maybe not most weapons. So like greatsword, hammer, switch axe to a point. Elemental files are different. They stack up elemental damage pretty decently, but otherwise it's eh. Then you have gun lance. Gun lance has elemental, right? Again, I watch Rurikon. I should know this. I should know if they have elemental. But Rurikon, if you watch this, when was the last time you chose a gun lance based on its elemental damage, other than facing Elatrion? I loved the Elatrion fight. I thought it was amazing. I thought that them actually making elemental damage matter was the right move. Why have it if we aren't using it? You should have to go into a fight and think, what would this monster be weak to? What element can I bring that is going to make this monster hurt more? Give me an advantage in the fight? That'd be amazing. Because it'd be more chance that people are making multiple sets and not just going after highest damage, highest sharpness, all this other stuff. To be honest, as a Switch Axe main, Poison Switch Axe. There you go. Poison, Exhaust. That's how I play. Because the majority... Yeah, I like Blast as well, actually. Blast Switch Axes are nice because they make explosions. They're just good all around. Exhaust is my favorite, and people knock on that shit all the time. I love Exhaust Switch Axes. They're amazing. But, we just need more elemental in the game. Alright, so let's watch this here.
はい、夢についても動画を用意しましたので、ご覧ください。
And you can see that and more in this video. Let's run it.
Here, right here. Tick, tick, tick. So slow. The ticking, the amount of
この
time,
ようにですね、単なる
the amount of time that you're gonna have to sit there and wait. Oh, it feels bad. I'm sorry for Bowmans, I really am. But that's a big nerf right there. At least I feel like it's going to be. We'll have to see how people perform with it. That's not going to be a weapon. I can tell you for sure. Again, stamina. I can't do it. For sure, it's not going to be another weapon that I use. That's not one of them that are on the table. So, all right, let's go forward. Okay, now right here, I have them muted, but they're talking in the background about, and I'll make myself a little bit bigger here. Talking in the background about the skills that are going to be on weapons. So you can see here the second weapon in the weapon tree, Hope Blade 2. First off, it only takes 2 iron ore. Seems kind of low. I hope they don't like lower the need for materials by a lot. I don't like that. I'd rather have to play the game more. Not to like a substantial amount where it becomes annoying, but like you should have to grind a monster a little bit to be able to get its equipment. Like you should not be able to fight at one time and get all its equipment, or unless you get lucky, you should not just be able to make a weapon from a monster first time fighting it. Unless you know what you're doing, know to break all the parts, know what to break, what gives you the chances, then I can see it. But it shouldn't be guaranteed that you have to balance that. So I'm hoping that, once you get into other stuff here, it becomes, more things that are needed. But if you see here, the skill equipped, this is a skill that is just on the weapon. So speed sharpening, level 1. They only have 2 levels in this rather than, I think the other games had 3. I believe they had 3. So speed sharpening level 1. This I do not have a problem with. That is a good skill to make bound to a weapon. Hey, if you get this weapon, you sharpen faster because it just holds its edge more. I like that. That's a good skill for on a weapon, to be tied directly to the weapon. There's other stuff coming up that I don't think are good skills for on a weapon that they're going to talk about. We're going to keep them muted, so if you want to see it, go watch, the video. But I will talk about it to you, about what they say, and it will show one of the examples on the next one here. So if we go forward, we will see that. And here we see what I was talking about. So you have now not only speed sharpening on here. So they say in this video, moving forward on the skill tree, on the weapon tree here, not skill tree, weapon tree, does not eliminate past skills that were on weapons. So speed sharpening will stay. From my understanding, from what they said, it could go up in levels, but it will not go away. That's cool. My problem is critical eye, which is interesting because it only has 5 levels rather than 7. So I'm pretty sure this was 3. But anyways, I do not have a problem with critical eye being a weapon skill that you can only put on weapons. I do not think it should be lumped in under the weapon's default skills, though. I think that there should be slots, okay? And they say as you upgrade a weapon, more slots will become available that you can slot in different, decorations, such as in games prior. This has been a long-running thing. The higher up you get, usually doesn't unlock until high rank. Then you can start sliding in decorations in those weapons. And even more so in your G rank / master rank game modes. So the expansions, game modes, expansions. I think there should be decorations that only work for weapons and decorations that only work for armor. That's what I think would be the best of the, compromise here. Putting critical eye as an equipped skill, to me, just feels like you didn't know what to put there and you wanted people to feel like you were putting something. so you gave it critical eye. But you can go to other weapons that have affinity built into the weapon as you go up, but it's not taking up a slot. Unless they completely change that, if we get Barioth, okay, if we get Barioth in this and he doesn't have weapons that have 20% affinity on them, and instead they come with 4 levels of crit eye, did you really change anything? Or are you just trying to shoehorn in something that you want to work to appease people that complain that, you know, things are overpowered and you shouldn't have this many skills, which I am not a fan of. If you play the game and you get through Master Rank, take Iceborne. The end of Iceborne is Fatalis. Fatalis armor is overpowered. It's meta armor, okay? You want the best armor in the game? It's Fatalis. You know what else Fatalis is? The hardest monster in the game. If I defeat the hardest monster in the game, I should get the strongest equipment in the game. I don't have a problem with that. No problem at all. Now, if it comes early in the game, that's different. But at the end of the game, I went through hundreds of hours of playing this game, and now I come up to Fatalis, and I beat Fatalis in my gear. Yeah, I want a reward. Yeah, I want overpowered armor. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to use it. You don't. Just like people that complain about too many skills. Okay? Oh, everyone's running Wax. Everyone's running Crit Eye. Everyone's running this. So are you guys. Everyone complaining about that, they're doing the same thing. And they're... Again, I love Rurikhan. Rurikhan is one of my favorite creators on this platform. But he complains about it a lot, and I don't agree with him on that. I do not agree with him that, you know, we shouldn't have all these skills to be able to put into what we want, and people just using quote-unquote meta skills in their sets. If you want to use meta skills, use meta skills. If you can fit 8, 10 skills in a set, fit 8, 10 skills. If they're all meta, great. If you can't play because of that, that's a you problem. Okay? But no one should be able to tell you, I want less skills because I don't want everyone being able to put all these damage skills in the game. Like on their weapons and stuff. I don't want that. Come on. Like, you want people to use like more, you know, day-to-day skills, speed sharpening, hunger resistance, what's the one that makes you eat faster? Gobbler. Okay? You want people to use those? Use them. There's nothing stopping you from using them. They're great. A lot of those skills are great. Okay? But let us play how we want to play. If you want to use, you know, 10 skills that are not quote-unquote meta damage skills, go ahead. If you want to use the meta skills and become a glass cannon, go ahead. It's your game. You play it. Okay? Just because this is the popular thing does not mean it's necessarily bad. I think they should invest in making more skills that aren't quote unquote pure damage, that are interesting. It did seem like in World and Rise they made a lot of skills that were geared mostly towards that, and I can see where someone would be, you know, soured by that. But I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing for people to use the skills that are there. Like, You want to take away health booster? Who doesn't run health booster? Other than speedrunners, maybe. Speedrunners not running health booster. That's that's speedrunners. They're going to do what they're going to do. You can't, adjust your game for a speedrunner. That's just a bad idea. But I run health booster in all my sets. As soon as I can get health booster 3, that's what I'm doing. More survivability. I ran defense boost for the longest time in Monster Hunter World. It's fine. But play how you want to play. Just because someone says it's meta, you shouldn't be using these skills, blah, blah, blah. No, play how you want to play. Now, that being said, I hope they do add more skills that are interesting, but not directly related to damage per se. So one that I kind of group in there that I think should be a weapon skill is your switch speed for switch axe. Yes, technically it gives more damage because DPS goes up because you're hitting faster. I get that. But it's not a direct increase in crit, in attack. It's still, a move set thing. I like that. I think, again, I hope that skill comes back. I hope it does. So let's go on here. One of the last things we want to talk about today is they haven't fully decided if they're going to do another open beta test. They said it's possible, but you kind of get the feeling of listening to them that it might be possible, but it's unlikely. I don't think they're going to do another one. I'm starting to, I don't want to say lose hope, because I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of sad, because I'd like to play it, but I'm just ready for the game to be here at this point. I don't know that they're going to even do a demo. They didn't really talk about one. They touched on another open beta test, but they said they have talked about it. They have discussed it, but it's not been decided yet. And if it does come out, it would mostly be the same as the last one, and just be there for people who didn't get to participate in the first one, just to get more feedback. But yeah, I'm okay if they don't do one. I'm okay if they don't do a demo. Again, I just want the game to be out. I want to play it. I want it to be freaking the end of February already, so I can have my 2 weeks of just playing this thing nonstop. That's what I want. And that's pretty much the end. They touched on a couple other things. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below. So please, do go watch it if you're interested. But that's what I took away from the majority of the points that I really cared about there. They did talk about some multiplayer stuff and whatnot. And for the most part, I'm not going to be playing multiplayer, at least through the campaign story mode. I'll mostly just be playing by myself and going through and experience it for myself for the first time. And then afterwards, be jumping in with other people here and there. Unless I play with like my son or my one buddy wants to play some of it, so I told him I'd play with him. But the first time through, I'm just playing myself. So that being said, final thoughts. I think most of it's good. Most of what they talked about here really gives me excitement for the game coming out. And again, I do have the little concerns. The skills for own weapons gives me slight concern. Because if you're just going to throw crit eye and attack boost in there, you're just shoehorning in things that you could have did with the stock weapon that doesn't actually need to be one of the skills on the weapon. Like you could have just gave it 4% affinity. Like you can't take it off the weapon. From what I understand, it looks like it's just on the weapon. Unless you get to pick. If you get to pick what the option is, that'd be cool. But again, if you look at past games, you kind of see trends. And if you looked at Sunbreak, curio crafting, or whatever it was called, I think that's what it was. That is where I think they started testing this, skills on weapons, because that's what we did. You rolled for skills on weapons. And it was integral to the weapon. You put that weapon on, you had that skill, or a skill point in that skill. So I think that's where that comes from. It has to be where that comes from, just like wire bugs in Rise, I feel like we're part of the Clutch Claw in Iceborne. Kind of 1-in-1. They were testing it out, and then, one flowed into the other. Which way it did it, that's one thing. I don't know whether they were already working on it for Rise and it flowed into Iceborne, or whether they were working on it for Iceborne and it flowed into Rise. I don't know, but it's very clear comparisons there. The only thing I do have to say about skills yet is, can we get negative skills back? Negative skills make you think so much more about a set. I don't know how they do it with the new skill system that they moved to in 5th gen, and that I'm assuming they're going to have the same thing in 6th gen for skill set. But negative skills, they were so nice. Yes, it's one of those things that, oh no, if I want to take this more attack, it's going to give me negative crit. Or it's going to give me negative defense. I think that was the big one. More attack, negative defense. Sorry, I got the hiccups. But it made you think of your sets a lot more. Like what would go together, what wouldn't go together. You get really interesting mixed sets that just were different. Remember just playing Generations Ultimate and just like, oh, what can I move here? What can I move there? And I mean, it was in all the games before that, but Generations Ultimate's the newest one that has it. So there's that. But with that, I will let you guys go. I appreciate everyone watching. Thank you very much. If you haven't already, please do like, subscribe, share the video, ring the bell, leave a comment. All would be much appreciated. And we'll see you next time back on Tilted Glory Gaming. Bye.